Hello, hello, welcome in. And give everyone a few minutes to pop in before we get started. Just a couple more minutes and we'll get started. So we can pop in. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. So welcome in to our tech sales workshop. I'm gonna go ahead and read a little bit about Jaylen before we get started. But Indianapolis native Jaylen Fenderson leverages his extensive experience in tech sales support to empower businesses of all sizes as a leading Salesforce partner. From startups to enterprise organizations, he has guided clients through strategic implementation and planning for new technologies. Jaylen has excelled in various sales support roles, including SDR, BDR, customer success, and solution engineering, consistently exceeding KPIs. So welcome, Jaylen. We're very excited to have you. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that intro. I'll be able to share in a little bit, but I think maybe it was me that sent it over to you, but I actually am not an Indianapolis native. I'll share more of that on my intro, but maybe it's because like I did the typo or something like that. I was rushing, so sorry about that. Hello, everyone. Nice to see the folks that are here. I really appreciate you for taking time out of your day to learn a little bit more about tech sales from my perspective, and really excited to get a chance to converse with you all about just where you all are, in your journey. If this is of any interest to you, look forward to just getting the chance to rap about that. I am a conversational guy, so this presentation will be in that type of format. Yeah, I encourage everyone on the call, if you have a question, please just come off mute and just go ahead and ask away or raise your hand, however you want to do that. I think Rachel, she's going to be monitoring the chat and all that. as I don't, as I'm not looking at the actual the the Zoom workplace platform. I'll be looking at my deck here. So, all right, let me go ahead and bring it up. Okay. All right. So, as a quick overview, um, I want to talk a little bit about perspective when it comes to tech sales, and how you internalize this presentation and essentially everything that I'll be talking about today. I really want to make sure there's level set with you all on um, what you all should be thinking about and how you should think about things, or what should kind of guide your decision making process when you're thinking about all of the details here. I'll do a quick intro. I'll do also a brief history of tech sales. This is not a history lesson. This is just to give context to what the tech industry was, and how it actually informs what we do now, which the reason for the today versus back then piece that I'll talk a little bit about. I'll talk about the roles and responsibilities, which I think is the meat a bit. We're starting to get into the meat of what a lot of people probably are on for, right? If you're looking to get into tech sales or even level up if you are in a lower level role. And then what are the skills that are necessary in order to succeed in these roles? And not just succeed in the role, but showcase if you're looking to move into tech, break into tech, or move over into a higher role, right? And then, what does it look like to break into tech? What should you be doing? And then also what to expect from a tech sales job, what you should expect. And then also we'll do Q&A at the end, a little bit more formal Q&A, but I'll say, please feel free to come off mute and just ask a question if you're ready. All right. So again, perspective here. So when you're thinking about tech sales in general and what I would say sales in general, but if we overlay that with technology sales, just like a regular sales job, a lot of folks get into sales just by happenstance, right? They get into jobs by sales job by saying, this is something that I think will make a lot of money at, or I can do this really quick. I can just be a part of something that I can maybe thrive in a lot easier. The road to success is a little bit more self-based. I control my own destiny in sales, but I really want to emphasize, especially for this presentation, that all routes are different. Sales is a very hard job. I don't care what type of sales you do. And for me personally, I've done a lot of different types of sales, and tech is no different. And everyone's route to this role and their path to success in the role may look a little different for everyone. This in particular is going to be, this presentation is a view into my experience and what I have gathered as the most important pieces of breaking into tech, and what does that look like, right? And success in tech sales roles. But it's really important to take an inward look at who you are, what you have to bring, the type of person that you are, and assess your current situation and make an appropriate path from there. When I say this out loud, it feels like kind of like common sense or duh. Like, of course, you all will know that. But those simple things, in my experience, can become amiss when you're looking at all these LinkedIn posts of people just, I got created a VP of sales or VP of X, Y, and Z, and I'm 22, something crazy like that. So everybody's route is different. Everybody's path to success is different. So take that into consideration. And then, to layer on top of that, tech is tough right now. It's struggling right now. A lot of folks aren't finding roles. I was on about a 6 to 7 month layoff recently. So um, be thoughtful about the industry as a whole, in tech, as you're taking in the information on this the presentation here. Um, and then start to think about your inspiration, right? What is inspiring you to move into this role, right? Again, because this is not an easy role. It's something that you really have to um, find somewhere in your body a passion for, or at least a passion enough to move into whatever you're trying to get into. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. So real quick, just want to give a quick overview of who I am. Again, my name is Jaylen Fenderson. I actually am a native of Detroit, Michigan. I grew up, born and raised there. Came down to Indianapolis or actually Marion, Indiana, for college. I went to Indiana Wesleyan University. I came from humble beginnings, very humble beginnings, back in Detroit, and didn't know anything about careers or tech or anything to do with anything other than, you know, honestly, scratch offs and lottery tickets and all that kind of stuff. And I grew up with a family that was from the South, so my beginnings, like I said, were very humble. I got into college. I somehow, my mama scared me enough to do really good in high school, even though I really didn't try very hard, but did well in high school where I was able to get to college. Didn't know what I was doing, didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew I either that or I couldn't live at home because I was past 18, so I couldn't live at home. So um, I ended up going into psychology. That felt interesting to me. I wouldn't necessarily say it was a regret, but I don't use it, if anything at all. Um, and what I would say, one experience I'll draw from my college, my college tenure was there was a guy still associates with him. His name is Jordan Easley, and Jordan was doing some B2B stuff. He was talking with a couple of folks, or I'll say he was talking to a couple of people within like this presentation environment about this company called Tinderbox. I think that's the name of it. And it was like this was back in 2016. So by that time, SaaS was a big deal. I had no clue what it was, but SaaS was a big deal at the time. Well, it's already a big deal at the time. And he was talking about how this company with sales folks, specifically business development representatives or people who verse in B2B. And I don't know why, but when I was graduating from school, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and that just stuck to me. I'm like, bro, like I know everybody in this school. I cut hair. I'm extremely extroverted. Like I need to probably be in sales. So I just took that and ran with it. I did get a job at Tinderbox, but I got a slew of terrible sales jobs. Your boy didn't sold Kirby vacuums. I didn't sold pillows. I didn't sold tried to sell cars, tried to sell all type of stuff, man. And it was bad. Janky sales jobs. And I did that for about I would say like 10 months. I went through like 4 or 5 different jobs. It was crazy. And from there, I went into a company that was a friend of mine. And because I knew I'm like, okay, I got a lot of problems, got things going on. I need to find a way into something that I actually care about. And a buddy of mine was hiring, went there. 6 months later, it didn't really work out. I wasn't doing sales. It was my first like break into like, okay, stable income that wasn't like commission based or anything. Went from there to another another role, and that company closed. It was like 3 months or whatever. All of it's on my LinkedIn. And then I found the holy grail of of startups, which is called Springbuck, which is right here. Springbuck is this health employee benefits-esque healthcare type of technology platform that helps businesses to utilize their funding a little bit better, or save money around their employee benefits. Um, I'm slightly butchering that right now, but really cool technology. Never heard of anything like that. And I was a BDR, and it was not easy getting started, but I knew what I knew needed to do, because they explained it to me. The guy, Drew Elston, took basically kind of took a chance on me, I guess. And over that about a year and a half, I went from, rags to riches, figuratively. But I started to do really, really well. I understood sales, and we were using Salesforce. And as we were using Salesforce, I started to hear about what it meant to be a Salesforce admin and things like that. But I mean, I was at this early in my career. This was like 2017, 2018. I was like, I don't care about none of that. Where the money at? That's all I'm trying to get to. How much y'all paying, kind of thing. And um, so problematic 100%, as I reflect, but that's all I cared about at the time. And so Salesforce, I found out, was hiring for BDRs. I'm like, well, I'm a top BDR right now. I can, this is not this, I need to do this. And well, I would like to do this. So I looked further into it, and I networked my way into it. So basically, I've reached out to someone on LinkedIn really randomly, and the guy name was Tyler. And Tyler basically told me, like, hey man, would love to talk. I see that you're saying all this stuff about you being a top BDR, da da da. And I got into Salesforce and within a week, which was kind of unheard of, because you know was always around. After I got in, people said like it took me like a couple of years of applying to get in here and stuff. So that was 100% a blessing, and I was happy because they were paying like 30,000 more than I was making. And that's where I learned about OTE and stuff like that, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Stayed at Salesforce for 3 years, in a number of sales-esque positions, including solution engineer and customer success, all that. Went over to EPAM. EPAM is like this huge company that does many different things, and they had just bought a Salesforce arm, or Salesforce um, uh, SI company, so an implementation partner. They had just bought Pole Source, which was the implementation partner. So I went there and helped out there for about a year and a half. Was laid off, and now I work at Cloud for Good after being laid off for about 6-7 months. So that is me in a 6-7 minute nutshell. I'm happy to talk more, somebody else, if anyone has any questions about my journey. So again, this is not going to be a history lesson. There's a couple of points I wanted to draw out in regards to tech sales history, if you will. So early days, and I didn't give time periods for a reason, but early days of what technology looked like, beep boop, keyboards and floppy disks, things like that. It was a big hardware focus. So we're talking, mainframes, we're talking big hardware, computers, things like that were being sold to other businesses. And the salesperson always had to physically be there, right? There was no digital selling, there was no phone type of selling. I have to be there to demonstrate this to you, and pretty much an order taker here. I'm just doing what I need to do because of how new this is and what you're just looking to do, right? This is extremely new. And so usually from there, software would be bundled as an afterthought, right? Now we come into the .com era, which I'm going to say 80s and 90s, or if you will, where the internet is big, Netflix, a lot of folks don't know, Netflix was started back in 97 and moved through. It took a while to overcome Blockbuster, you know, which I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But the internet was booming, SaaS was a thing. So like the companies like Salesforce was popping up. You know, I think Salesforce is like its 26th or 25th anniversary right now. You know, so companies like Salesforce were popping up. It was moving from, and companies were starting to think about this. You know, what is the actual value that we're bringing to um, the businesses that we're selling to, or what is the actual value of um, the people that we're looking to sell to as well, you know? And so that value proposition focus was starting to come into play because as time grew and people began continue to innovate, the pool opened up for to be normalized, right? And things being normal breeds for innovation, right? There needs to be innovation for um, to help it to continue to grow, right? And then we get coming to now modern tech, which I would say post like 2010, if you will. Um, Everything is in the cloud. It is absolutely normal for everyone to use cloud type technology literally in their day to day. Like just getting a new phone is using some sort of cloud based technology, cloud storage. Um, and when we are approaching sales from a technology sales, we're trying to do a little bit more. We have no choice, if I'm being honest, but cold calling, things like that don't really exist a ton. Um, Data-driven processes are going to be what drive the success of a sales team or a sales force, if you will. And so the focus is on how can we position ourselves to solve someone's actual problem. How fast can we solve that? And you know, everything else, everything is based on the value, right? What value we're actually bringing from multiple angles, right? Because platforms are everywhere. They're literally everywhere. There's multiple platforms for multiple platforms for one thing, right? And so who's solving the problem the best? And honestly, who can talk the best talk, you know? Because people shopping, still people shop all the time. So, and as a last point, there's a big focus on retention, upselling, things like that. So how can we keep the customers we have? How can we use data or reports in order to identify who we talked to, who we last connected with, who we last had almost a whole deal cycle with? How can we utilize that information in order to create new opportunities for ourselves, right? And then how do we do a good job, right? To retain those folks and then upsell them as well. Okay. So just to kind of reiterate what the disparity is. So back then, the selling was focused on, hey, let's just get our names out there. Let's canvas neighborhoods, things like that. Let's go out and be the presence. Like we're being the presence, a little bit more energy of a feel of energy between people, face to face very often. The focus is going to be on a product specifically, right? We have this new product. Can you believe it? The focus was a little bit more on the newness of the product being existing, right? And and look at how these features can do. Look at how pretty our product is and what it can do. And it brings it to makes me think about how the co-founder of Netflix, he shared how the companies were looking to be during this time. Companies like Netflix were looking to be disruptive to different like fixtures of American business, different fixtures of American life, right? And so for those types of companies, they were like, hey, Netflix is trying to do something with this subscriber model that nobody else is doing. Isn't this so cool? Let's try to find some people that can subscribe to our stuff to prove how cool this is, but move from that to actual value that is actually bringing um, not only businesses, so I'm sure like the movie industry, right, or the film industry, but also for the consumer, like for us, right? They started off with giving DVDs via post, like snail mail, sending DVDs that way. Um, but the evolution of that idea is where we are now, right? This is a way better way to do this. This is a much more cost saving way to do this. And this is what people actually want and desire, right? This is actually going to help someone's life as opposed to paying for postage or et cetera, et cetera. Now, today is a little bit more about digital selling, marketing strategies. How do we catch people at the right time with the right message to the right person, right? So it's all about digital selling in this remote environment. The company I work at, Cloud for Good, is completely virtual. We all work via computer, which is very odd. I would say for me, I'm 31, so I'm not like that old, but it's still kind of odd to not go anywhere and for so long want to so badly like I can do this from home. I wish I could go home and go and I can type this, on my couch or whatever. And now that's the world now, working from anywhere. So, I reference Salesforce from anywhere, working from anywhere program rather. And the focus is specifically on the value that you're bringing to the to the customer during the sales cycle. Like out the gate, it's about value, right? And that value also translates internally as well. What roles do we have in our organization that can deliver the most value to the customer, during our sales cycle, right? And in tech sales specifically, there's always going to be not just purchasing of the technology, but now somebody got to show you how to use it. You need some sort of implementation partner. You need someone to guide you, some sort of consultant. There's a lot of layers and ways you can do that. But the focus is all about, within that process, because a lot of times companies will bring in a implementation partner to help actually sell their product, right? So I'm not just going to sell you the licenses for this platform, but I'm going to bring in an actual partner in order for you to see how you can sell it, right? I do a lot of demonstrations. So this is the art of the possible, as solution engineers like to say. And again, database decision making is the way to go. I'm talking a lot. Anybody got anything or any questions? If not, that's okay. But yeah, I'm just kind of going here. Okay, we're gonna let it go. So here are some roles and responsibilities. Oh, thank you, Danny. Here are some roles and responsibilities, right? This is like where I really get excited because as you can clearly see, the one that's different from the others is the solution engineer. I've been a solution engineer for like 3 years now. To me, in tech sales, it is I'm biased. It is the best job in tech sales, in my opinion. It combines. Let me double back here. First, we have the BDR SDR role. Now, depending on who you work for, this could look like two different things. SDRs can be sales development representatives, can be your inbound people, right? What comes into the company, right? So if someone writes us on our contact page, if someone sends us an email, right? Just kind of just blatantly, or someone responds to our marketing outreach, it would go to the sales development representative, and then the business development representative only focuses on outreach. So this person is running reports. They are partnering with their AE on events and They're partnering with marketing on email blasts, things like that, in order to send, create lists, or receive lists, and then reach out to these people. They're the people who are probably calling. Well, SDRs would do this too, but calling with a different kind of a talk track, right? SDRs have a more of a purpose. I'm calling because you reached out to us, as opposed to a BDR could be, I'm reaching out to you all because I saw your website and it looks like you just raised some funding, and I think we could probably work with you. That's not universal. That's just how a company in the past I've worked for has done it. But ultimately, BDR, SDR is going to be very top of funnel, very top of funnel of the sales process, ensuring that who we're taking meetings with, there is some base level qualification, right? We know my tongue. Okay, no. There is some base level of budget. Who's the authority to a degree? Who's going to sign off? Who do we need to speak with? Some sort of, what is the need, right? Why? With BDR and the outreach piece, it becomes a little bit more tricky. I have to assume or infer that there is a particular need, based off of whatever circumstance I'm reaching out for. So let me just put it in context. So if there's an event specific to your industry, and during that event, my company presents on a particular topic, I'm reaching out because, hey, you came to this event, you paid to be there, and I want to reach out because, hey, is there anything that you caught your eye? I know X, Y, and Z is happening in the news about your business. We'd love to get a chance to chat, and hopefully that drums up some sort of conversation. So very top of funnel, getting that, and then also timeline, if it permits. Hey, when do you need that by? What is the compelling event? Are you running out of licenses? Are you changing your changing your staff? Is somebody quitting? Is somebody leaving? What's the compelling event for you to make this move into this new technology, right? So being versed in that conversation with a customer is going to be really important. Hardest job, I would say, because it is not for the long term, is going to be BDR. I'm going to say, and I was a BDR for 3 years, and very, very difficult, but not impossible, right? And BDR, I will say, it has changed a lot since my time. I feel old, but from my time being a BDR, it was a lot easier, right? For example, even when I moved from BDR back in 2020, 2019 over to customer success, my for Marketing Cloud Fins, my goal was about 8 or so very single digit opportunities, I was accountable for. By the time I left, it was like 20 something. And it's like, how in the world do you expect, it's changing. The world is changing, and we have to become even more strategic in how we're conducting these kind of now becoming older roles, right? BDR's been around for like 15, almost 20 years, probably, So what does this look like for the future? I've talked to a buddy about that too. He said the same thing, especially, and this changes drastically across the industry, right? If you're in healthcare, it's even worse. If you're in the public sector, it's even worse. Longer times, many different people to reach out to, a lot of bureaucracy to filter through in order to actually get even a meeting, So just be thinking about that if you're looking to break into tech. So again, hard but not impossible, right? Then we have the actual sellers, who are the account executives. So these are going to be the people that get the quarterback, if you will, bringing all of the appropriate parties in the room, and finding a path to signing on the dotted line, right? So they're leveraging the expertise and the forensic kind of nature of the BDR in order to say, wow, thanks for bringing me this person. why should I care? You know, and BDR presents that case and moves that over. Hopefully, you have some sort of great CRM to facilitate a lot of that, the busy work piece of that. AEs are obviously really important to the process. The other roles are going to be more sales support. So going into the solution engineer, AEs are going to solicit the help of the solution engineer, depending on the qualifiedness of the call the deal, depending on what the stage is, right? And so the AEs are going to be the people that say, "Hey, solution engineer, here's what I've been able to find out," right? And we'll talk about skills in a little bit here. Hey, solution engineer, this is what I've been able to find out. This is how I think we should approach this. Can you be on the call so we can do some sort of high level discovery? And that's when the solution engineer shines. It is the marriage between I have enough technical knowledge about the product, but also I have the soft skills in order to ask the appropriate questions to extract the right information, right? I am, using my soft skills in order to say, "Hey, customer, what is the problem you're actually facing?" And, relaying back to the AE and the people that are going to be actually, either selling it or trying to put this technology into action. Can we even do this? What does that look like for us to do this, right? And there's a lot of layers in that, and I'm trying to keep track of time. So I'd love to talk to people more about that. I'm very passionate about the solution engineer role, love the role. And then we have customer success. Now, so far, we've mainly talked about pre-sales. So this BDR, AE, solution engineer, all of that is pre-sales work, with the exception of the AE signing the dotted line. But depending on where you're selling, the AE may or may not have much contact with the customer post signing the dotted line, right? There's someone else that would take over. But post sales is going to be customer success. And I'm including this in the tech sales role because customer success folks are integral for upselling, ensuring that the customer has a good experience with the company. They do, in some way, can provide good feedback or good information to the pre-sales people, to the AE, to sales leadership about what we can expand on, the services we can expand on, the way in which we're selling, right? Because there can be a big disparity between, or there can be contention between the pre-sales and post-sales people because, hey, are we selling things that we can actually do, or are we selling pipe dreams? You know what I mean? And so it's really important to kind of understand that landscape when you're getting into tech sales, because depending on what your track will be, that's just part of the game. That's part of the game of any organization, I would say, right? The purchasing of the product and actually using it, right? You have to find ways to navigate both arenas. So real quick, I want to go through the skills needed to succeed in tech sales. Again, that feels a little bit hypocritical. It's so generic, Each role requires a different skill set, and even in those skill sets, it really depends on, what your hunger is, what your transferable skills are, what your passions are, how you want to show up in the room. It depends on all that. So, but these are things I think can go across all of the roles, right? Product knowledge is key. I will say, even from the BDR perspective, I'm just, as BDR, I'm just trying to get this meeting, tell AE, hey, he came to the event, he's the CEO, you should talk to him. I think they got money, blah, 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 blah. But even the BDRs need some sort of product and industry knowledge, right? Because people are immune. or desensitized to their outreach of BDRs. It was hard even when back in 4 or 5 years ago when I was a BDR, and people knew why I was calling, they knew why I was emailing, and would send these one-off emails like stop texting me, stop calling me, stop emailing me, or maybe marketing messed up somehow. I just said no like 8 times, all that kind of stuff. But I would say for today's time, it's even more saturated. Folks are just inundated with so many communications and emails and things like that. So having some sort of really thoughtful approach about the product that you're selling in the industry of the person that you're selling it to is only going to make you successful. And it's still going to be a grind. It's still going to be a grind no matter what. That's just the nature of sales. Sales acumen. The only thing I'll say about this, you need to understand the dance of sales, the fast-paced nature of sales, and be able to navigate those, I would say, relatively smoothly, being really okay with change, change often, especially if you're in a startup world. But sales acumen can mean about a lot of different things. And in the beginning, we thought it meant, you're extroverted. Oh, you like talking to people, so you can be in sales, But in reality, that isn't true. There's plenty of introverts who are in presidents clubs of their, company because they're great at what they do, right? Especially in the tech world. Emotional quotient, having a high EQ is only going to benefit you, because sometimes you do have to be in the room. And I would say that is a big case, but also an even larger case is being able to have that EQ across, virtually. Talking to people every day on camera is not as easy as I thought it would be, and I'm sure many people who work from home feel the same way, but you got to be able to read the room, even when it's just screens on boxes or squares on the screen. Negotiation, Never Split the Difference is a great book for this. Just talking about the ways in which we approach the back and forth nature of sales. And again, this is so nuanced. If you want to talk more, we can talk after. You got to be hungry. I think those are hungry and organizational. Hungry is a really big one. Sales is a grind, especially if you're trying to break in, break into tech sales. It's a grind no matter what, you have to be strategic, you have to be hungry, you have to be willing in order to succeed, and the best part is you can't run away from this. You got to do that in any career you go into. So I would say that's a big deal. Organizational, big piece of that. You're dealing with lots of accounts most of the time, lots of outreach, lots of different entities that are a part of the process. So you must be organized. It's really, really important. Just some quick strategies for breaking in. I feel like I've said a lot already. Just evaluation of your current situation. Like I was saying earlier, you must have a tough mindset. Start to develop that. Start to think about, I'm not playing with this. I'm actually going to try. I'm going to, put my best foot forward. Because I will say, it is a lot of money to make in tech sales. It is. But yeah, it takes time. It takes time, and you have to be tough. Be willing to be told no often, and then start to think about your transferable skills. What do you do now? And, this is for a more one-to-one conversation or another conversation. Sorry, maybe, okay, nice. Put this away. All right. So what are you doing now, right? What industry do you work in, and how can you start to translate those skills that you do every day into technologies and into sales first, right? and and just being really pragmatic, right? In a lot of ways, tech sales is a very pragmatic type of role. It's kind of what you see is what you get in a lot of ways. Now, again, the emotional quotient piece makes you have to read the room and you have to strategize when deals get bigger. But when you first get in, things are kind of what you see, what you get. Either you got money or you don't. Or either you want to do this or you don't. Kind of thing. And so, start to think about um, how you can utilize your skills today and what you do today, and start to put energy into um, those the skills that's needed for tech sales, things like a BDR, being resilient, cold calling, things like that. Like, do you do anything that's similar, right? And start to double down on that. So when you're in conversations the with an interviewer, which I'll talk about that in a minute, you can kind of you have something to reference, right? Let me try to run through this. So education, I would say Udemy is a great place, and it's tough. Education was tough. I do agree that you can be educated on sales, right? You can learn, right? But I'm not a huge fan of programs, and I do believe that you can learn some skills with them, but I would say be very thoughtful about the program you choose to join, because I do know there's a lot of reputable companies doing it. TechPoint, I believe EB Nimble has one too. So, but I would say don't fret too much over programs in order to help you to get into the role, right? What's going to really get you into the role is networking, right? The world is skills based, but you have to learn what skills that you want to learn, what skills are necessary for this advancement, right? And yes, you can get that from a program, but the program is mostly going to afford you the opportunity to network with people that are in this, right? So maybe the program is bringing in, I would say, people like me, where I have a lot of connections in the tech world, where, hey, let's talk. What do you do, kind of thing. Um, and so, yeah, networking is really important. Enough said about that. That's networking is extremely important. Every role that I have ever gotten has come from networking, and those people, being as best a mirror as possible, right? And I have certifications, just to move back. I have certifications on here because I have a lot of Salesforce certifications, but and I'll say, like just stated earlier, depending on what technology you go into, certifications or understanding the product is really, really important. A lot in the past, AEs I've worked with were solution architects for the product. And that is one of the hallmark reasons why they're successful, So I'll say take that take that and I'll say think about that as you're thinking about the roles in the companies that you want to be.
Hey, Jaylen, we got a
Yeah.
question
All
um,
right.
from Jasmine. She said, what is your strategy when networking?
Okay, Jasmine, when you say strategy in networking, are you talking, I guess, could you expound a little bit more about how can I answer that a little bit better? What do you mean by
Yep.
strategy?
Just like what's your approach when you're networking? I'm trying to build my network, and so like what's your strategy to build your network, I guess? I mean, obviously like getting in the rooms and the proper rooms and all that, but
Yeah,
there's just I don't know if
yeah.
that it probably just comes natural to you, but just for people that it may not come natural to them, just
Hmm.
curious on if you have a strategy
Yeah.
on like building the relationships and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, I totally get where you're coming from. So I'll say yes, that it does come naturally for me, only in that I think it takes the most important thing I would say when it comes to networking is it's okay to be afraid, right? Or scared. Not saying that you are, Gavin, but it's okay to be scared of like going in this room and just talking randomly to people or reaching out to a person on LinkedIn. Uh, just randomly, right? But you have to find a way to be fearless, right? I'm scared to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway, you know? And so my strategy is to first find that, but then, if I'm going to do this, then it's going to be targeted, right? So if I'm in the room and I don't know a lot of people, I'm going to find a way to, at some point of, let's just say, an event I'm in order to say, okay, this person has been talking about this, and okay, I'm going to start to, network over there, or find a way to make some sort of joke or whatever, in order to get a sense of the actual room, right? Which I would say that isn't necessarily as neat, as big as it was back in the day. I would say overall, one of the things that's really been most successful for me is random LinkedIn outreaches. And to me, I mean, I may never see some of these people ever, but I'm willing to take a meeting with them if or I'm willing to, get on a meeting with them if they would allow me, just to learn from them, right? I at one point thought I was going to be a civil engineer. I have no idea why, but I reached out to like four different ones and talked to like two of them, just random meetings. They said they would love to talk to me, people who lived in the area. And it didn't go anywhere, but I was, happy to know where to actually direct my efforts now. Like I didn't want to. I know I didn't want to do that based off of what they did and how long it would take to learn and that. So I would say strategy wise, first finding a way to be fearless. I would say the second part of that is being really targeted based off of what your current situation is. Um, and have this sounds kind of crazy, but have low expectations. Um, it doesn't have to be, the people that you're reaching out to probably feel just as awkward, you know. So it's like, I'm just gonna let the awkward moments pass and just figure out how can I get what I need, you know, which is selfish, but hey. So hopefully that answers a little bit.
Yep, that's very helpful. Thank you so much.
For sure. I'm going to basically end on what to expect. So first, interview processes, right? Expect some sort of demonstration, right? Expect some sort of demo of your understanding of the technology, your understanding of something. Expect some sort of demonstration. So get your presentation skills up. Expect scenario-based questions. What what do you do when you're angry? When's the last time that you told somebody no? Things like that. And the lower your level, the lower, the sales role is like BDR, the more generic the questions are going to be. The higher it is, so things like AE, solution engineer, is going to be a little bit technology specific in those questions, right? Sales type of behavior assessment, right? So what people are looking for. So it's really important in these and in your answers to these questions is to say, I'm selling my skills. I don't like that. How do I sell myself? I'm Black, that's triggering. I'm selling my skills. And then good situations for questions. Good situations for questions. So think about situations you can reference for certain questions that you might be asked. And always do forensics on the company, do forensics on the role. Be so keen on what the actual role is. Once you get it, because getting the interview is like winning the lottery these days. So you got to be ready, for those questions and be prepared. Thank you letters, stuff like that. You supposed to be in sales, so thank you letters and all those types of gestures are going to be really important. Have numbers on your resume, really important if you really want it, if not only to secure the interview, but also in explaining something over what your competition probably is going to have. This is the tough one, but be ready for a low salary starting. And this is what it is. My first role as BDR was like 33K, and I thought I was balling. I thought God is with me. He's done it. I made it, kind of thing, and low salary starting plus hard work and maybe a little overwork. That's the nature of sales in general, and it is no different in tech sales. Those are things you just got to prepare your mind for. Get into the company and learn what they're about, right? So if you get into a company that you don't have a lot of experience with, then it's really going to be important for you to do that research beforehand. Expect to ask a lot of questions. People know you, especially people know you green. Use that to your advantage. Ask questions. I don't know this. Can I shadow X, Y, and Z? Very, very good to do. Lead as much as possible. Do your best to ensure that you are the one that is seen. Again, because you ain't doing all this work for nothing. I'm not doing all this for nothing. I want to be seen. I won. Kind of thing. It's going to be extremely fast paced. So be prepared for that. It's quick. It moves fast. Change happens often. Oh my God, they just laid 6 people off, but I'm here. So, well, what nothing I can do, those are the things and emotions that you're going to be faced with. And then sink or swim, again, I hate to end on this being so, I guess, dark, but that's the reality. And that's just where I like to live. And so be prepared to sink or swim. Be prepared to swim, when you're thrown into the water of all these accounts and all these targets and all these metrics and all these KPIs. Be prepared to swim. All right. That's what I got, man.
Good stuff. Let's see. Do we have any other questions?
Yeah.
No. All right.
All right. Y'all go ahead and marinate.
Yeah. Got a message from Micah in the chat that just said, I want to say thank you.
Yes, yeah. Y'all feel free to reach out to me. I know I didn't took the thing off, but feel free to reach out. I'd love to chat with anybody one-on-one. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my LinkedIn inside of the chat here real quick. Just so you all can get a chance to, if you want to add me on LinkedIn, I'd love that. Let me add it in the chat. Yeah, add me on LinkedIn. Let's link up. We'll love to meet anybody. I love, meet for drinks, meet for coffee, whatever y'all want to do. I'm cool with that, man.
For sure, for sure. Jaylen's also a mentor with Mentors of Color, so you can connect with him that way too. But thank you everybody for coming out. Jaylen, this is super helpful. Definitely enjoyed it and took some gems with me. And everybody have a good evening.
Yep. Thanks, Jaylen. Appreciate it.
Yes. All right. Oh, Mike.
Thank you.
Show, man. Thank y'all.
You're welcome. All right. Bye.
Thank you.